make to recognize what is right and what is wrong.
That, of course, was the scene a year and a month ago, the unconventional entrance of Donald Trump into the presidential race. That was him making his announcement in a long announcement that many people took note of. And now here we are, a year and a month later. Donald Trump, it is now official, has been formally nominated as the Republican presidential candidate. Joining me now to talk more about that is Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin. Governor, thanks so much for being with me.
Very welcome.
What are your thoughts on this night? What we saw there a moment ago was Donald Trump's entrance from last night, an amazing entrance by all measures, certainly something that perhaps this convention has not seen before.
You know, the word you used was unconventional, and he has been unconventional. Ironic, given that we are now at a convention where the master of unconvention is now the nominee. But he is a man who has his finger on the pulse of the electorate in America. He is a man who understands presentation and marketing. He understands how to move and motivate people. And the net result of that is 13 months later, he's nominated for president of the United States.
You've said that you see a bit of Trump in yourself. What did you mean by that?
I don't know that I said that. I probably implied that there are similarities to the extent we're both business people. Neither of us had previously been elected to anything. He still has not. I had never been elected to anything prior to being governor. I'm an ROI person. I look for return on investment. I'm a very pragmatic person. I'm a person who likes to move with a sense of purpose. I'm also unapologetic about the things that I believe, and I think in some measure there are elements of that in his approach as well.
Have you endorsed Donald Trump?
I have not ever endorsed any candidate ever, but I've been very clear. I will certainly vote for him. I support him to be president of the United States, and certainly relative to the alternative, it's not even a competition. It really isn't. He is far and away the most qualified candidate to be president.
Let me ask you about the person that Donald Trump selected to be his running mate, a person you know very well, the Indiana Governor Mike Pence. What do you think it is he brings to the ticket?
I'll tell you, Mike Pence is a incredible individual. He brings wisdom. He brings a level of temperance. He brings a level of experience politically, not only in Washington, but as a chief executive. He's a man who brings a tremendous amount of credibility from the conservative ranks of our party. And I think he's a guy who brings a tremendous balance to the ticket in ways that will be very positive in the months going forward.
So a year and a month ago, when Donald Trump first made his announcement, what did you sense regarding his conservative credentials? And do you think that the choice of Governor Pence has helped assuage any concerns that you and perhaps others might have had about that?
Certainly, I think it would be fair to say he was not the most conservative person of the 17 who were initially in the race. I think he would be the first to say that himself. No question, Mike Pence is more conservative in terms of both perception and probably reality, certainly track record. But that's good because guess what? Donald Trump represents what the people wanted. He got more votes, as was noted, than any Republican nominee has ever gotten previously in coming into a convention, and he has touched the pulse of the American people. I do think that Mike Pence will indeed bring a sense of balance, and that is good because you want a balanced ticket in order to be able to reach across all spectrums in terms of winning the electorate in November.
So I'm curious then, Governor, would a Donald Trump ticket without a Governor Pence be conservative enough for people like you?
It depended on who else it would be. I mean, Donald Trump was not going to nominate himself to be vice president, although that would have been unconventional as well. But he was going to pick somebody to complement him, and I think that's exactly what he's done. So it would have depended on who else he might have chosen.
I'm wondering what your thoughts are on the convention so far. We obviously saw on the first day a bit of chaos. Some have called it just a kerfuffle. But, you know, certainly that was not necessarily the image that people wanted to hear to present on the very first day.
I'll tell you what, to me, it's the power and the beauty of the American political process in place. This isn't a bunch of cookie-cutter sheep. These aren't people who come and be led by the nose to do this, that, or the other thing. There are people here with strong passion, strong convictions, strong opinions. They were heard. There were challenges even tonight to some of the rules, but ultimately this instills a sense of confidence, integrity in the process, and I think it's good. I think it shows the greatness of America, frankly.
I wonder how your perception of the candidate, of Mr. Trump, has changed and evolved since that year and a month ago when he first announced to this point today.
I mean, prior to that, truth be told, I'd never met him previously. I've had occasion to spend a fair bit of time with him. I find him to be a man who's a good listener. I find him to be somebody who is very thoughtful. He is somebody who, frankly, in real, personal conversation, very different than the person you see out on the campaign trail. But he understands, perhaps like no other politician in recent memory, that there is a difference between thoughtful dialogue and discourse and advice with advisors and policymakers and what one does when on the stump out there trying to invoke a sense of enthusiasm and passion in the average everyday voter. There is a difference. He has managed to thread that needle well, and I think this is why he's our nominee tonight.
At the same time, there have been Republicans, some of your fellow Republicans, who have cautioned on the tone sometimes from Mr. Trump. Has that been a concern for you?
Well, I mean, whether it's a concern for me, I don't know that I would go that far, but clearly there is no candidate, myself nor any other, who has ever run, who has always struck the perfect balance of making everybody happy with everything they've said. And certainly Donald Trump is no exception to that, but he's a man who knows what he believes. He's unapologetic about the things that he has had to say. Has he sometimes used words and an approach and a tone that might have in hindsight been better? Sure, but nobody who's ever run for office could not say the same thing.
There is currently an ad running, a Hillary Clinton ad running, in which several clips of Donald Trump are used. Some of those clips involve profanity, and then it is cut with images of children watching, and it's not clear that they're watching, obviously, this ad, but the idea is, and I believe the tagline is, our children are watching. What would be your expectation now from Mr. Trump moving forward, now that he is the Republican nominee?
Again, I think an amount of diplomacy is important, but it's important for people to understand you can make anything into a political ad to imply something. Truly, there is no couple I can think of politically in American history, certainly in our lifetimes, who has done more to denigrate the office of the President of the United States than the Clintons, both of them, frankly. They have done far more to disparage the office, the integrity of it, and to have caused many parents to blush and to cover their children's eyes when certain things were brought to the forefront, thanks to her and her husband. I think the American people are fed up with that. I think they do want statesmanship. I think they want diplomacy. And whoever the candidate is, I think those are the things that they should be focusing on as we move into these final months.
So you don't think that the criticisms and attacks on temperament and tone against Donald Trump are necessarily going to be a vulnerability for him?
I really don't. I mean, clearly, had that been the case, I mean, never was he more seemingly intemperate than in the months leading up to this nomination. And I don't think in our lifetimes anybody has so effectively cleaned the field and done it with less money. Frankly, it's remarkable how little, but he touched the finger on the pulse of the American electorate. It's exactly what we said. These are things that he has a feel for like nobody else. So I don't think it will be. If he goes over the top with it, it has the potential to be. But he's a very intelligent man. He's a successful guy, and I think he understands what that happy medium is. I think it's why he chose Mike Pence. I think it was a brilliant choice.
Governor Matt Bevin, thank you so much for your time, Governor.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.